Welcome to the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame 2024 Induction Program Celebration. Let's introduce the class of 2024. Cliff Snow. Jeff Bashaw. Bob Fallon. Rick Schmaltz. Beth Rotko. Russ Carter. Representing Russ is his son, Rick Carter. Taylor Losey. Bunty Ray.
Thank you. Thank you and welcome to our 2024 induction ceremony. At this time, I would like to recognize the past Hall of Fame inductees who are with us here tonight. I'm going to ask them to stand and please hold your applause until the end. Our past inductees: Jim Bates Jr., Bart Beardsley, Tony Carrier, Tammy Chapman, Chris D'Amato, Joe DeFlippi, Gail Erickson, Bob Freemuth, Joanne Galati, Mike Giovinazzo, Todd Hassler, Jack Hines, Mary Ellen Holden, Hal Kilby, Beth Kauke Lafferty, Hank Lodge, Phil Manarino, Dave Mills, Spec Monaco, Tom Moylan, Frank Loshenko, Gary Palladino, Pat Parenti, Dave Raponi, Dennis Schermerhorn, Dennis Sigmund, Tamara Stafford Kirk, Bill Sweet, Don Titus, Ginny Tereso, Peter Wininger, and Jim Ziogas. Let's have a round of applause for all of our inductees. Thank you, and now I would ask that you please join me in a moment of silence. Have a moment of silence in memory of the Hall of Fame members who have passed away in the past year, Bob Karen and Ray Talion. Thank you, and now please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'd like to recognize with us tonight our state representative from District 79, State Representative Mary Fortier. Mary, thank you. And now I'd like to call upon the President of the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame, Jack Krampitz. Jack.
Thank you for that underwhelming applause. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to welcome you to our 28th annual Bristol Sports Hall of Fame induction dinner. We have an outstanding group to induct tonight, and the sooner we can get to them, the better. When you do get a chance, please visit the Hall of Fame website at bshof.org. You can find information about everything the Hall of Fame does during the year. You can also view past inductee speeches, an extensive scrapbook page, and a place to nominate someone you think worthy to be inducted. The other way to find out about the Hall of Fame activities is by reading the Bristol edition, Bristol's online community newspaper. This paper has some of the finest writers in America. One of them was awarded a Pulitzer Prize this year. Who was that, you ask? His name was Jack Krampitz. How did this happen? He was accompanying his grandchildren on trick-or-treat on Halloween, and one of the neighbors, Igor Pulitzer, gave him a little trophy for having the scariest costume that night. Hence, the Pulitzer Prize. The only sad part of the story is I wasn't wearing a costume. A huge thank you should go out tonight to the induction ceremony committee with Bob Callett and Hank Lodge as co-chairs. And thank you also to the entire board of directors of the Hall of Fame for all the work they put in throughout the year. One final thank you to the generous sponsors and benefactors who donate to the Hall every year to help fund our projects. One last word. Many of tonight's inductees are no doubt nervous about their acceptance speeches. Some in the past have even asked for help. How can this speech be moving and sincere? Thank the people who are important to them. Be short enough to fit in the 5-minute limitation, and have an ending where the audience awards you with a standing ovation. Well, I thought it fitting, as a winner of the Pulitzer Prize, to write a speech for any inductee that checks off all those boxes. You can use it if you like, free of charge. Here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I dreamed from an early age that one day I might make it into the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame, and here I am. Wow. I want to thank everyone that I have ever known in my entire lifetime. And after dinner, anyone who is interested can follow me to the Doubletree Bar. All drinks are on me. Just so we're clear, that's not on me, on the inductee. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Jack. As many of you know, the Bristol Tramp Sports Reunion for many years held this dinner and recognized many athletes that have contributed to Bristol over the many years. The Tramps Reunion dinner is no longer being held, but the Bristol Tramps are still honoring one individual each year at this banquet in memory of Julie Larice. So I would direct your attention to the screens to recognize this year's Julie Larice Award winner.
Like many Bristolites, Scott Lodge grew up playing Little League baseball, basketball at the Bristol Boys Club and at Ivy Drive School, and football in the Bristol Midget Football Program. In his sports resume, he lightheartedly stated that he may actually hold a record for the most team tryouts in middle and high school without ever having made a team. While that may be true, but Scott has certainly made a difference regarding youth sports in Bristol. After playing at Edgewood Little League, Scott coached there and later became an assistant coach at the former Connecticut Edge Baseball Academy. At Forestville Little League, Scott was an assistant coach, head coach, umpire, board member, and eventually served as Forestville's president for 3 years. As one of the founding members and the inaugural and current president of the Bristol Little League, Scott has been an active district tournament director and an avid supporter of the Bristol Challenger program. Professionally, Scott has worked at ESPN for 32 years. He has worked on many projects there, And as a result of his contributions to a varied sports portfolio, Scott has been the recipient of 9 sports Emmys. It is the Bristol Tramps' honor to present the 2024 Bristol Tramps Julie Larice Award to Scott Lodge. Congratulations, Scott.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of this year's Bristol Sports Hall of Fame inductees. It is an honor to share a small part of your night. I'd like to thank the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame for continuing to keep the memory of Julie Larice and the Bristol Tramps alive with this award. Thank you to the Bristol Tramps Committee for not only making me a very humble recipient of this award, but for even considering me in the first place. It's truly an honor to have my name be next to Julie Larice now and forever. I don't think I'd be standing here without Bristol Little League. So I would like to thank my family for their support and for putting up with all that comes with my Little League endeavors for nearly 2 decades. I would also like to thank Chris Murtaugh and Jeff Robinson, the then presidents of Edgewood and McCabe Waters Little Leagues, for taking the first steps toward a Little League merger by putting aside our competitive nature to do what was in the best interest of the baseball families of Bristol, and then for bringing me in as the final piece of the puzzle. I would also like to thank the inaugural Bristol Little League Board, along with current and past members, for doing all they can to form a successful league. I would also like to thank Mary Ellen Holden for her support to get Bristol Little League over the finish line with Little League International. In closing, Roberto Clemente once said, "If you have a chance to accomplish something that will make things better for the people coming behind you, and you do not do that, you are wasting your time on this earth." To all the people that selflessly volunteer their time, I know it sometimes can be a thankless job, but if you help enrich just one life, that one life can make an impact that will be felt a millionfold. So those who volunteer their time to help enrich the youth of our city, I see you, I appreciate you, and I thank you. Once again, thank you for choosing me to be this year's recipient. It's an honor I will cherish always.
Thank you, Scott. Please come forward. On behalf of the Bristol Tramps Sports Reunion Committee, it's my pleasure to present the Julie Larice Award to Scott Lodge for coaching, managing, leading, and always supporting the young athletes of Bristol, and for his mentorship of those who support him. Congratulations, Scott. Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to call upon Pastor Jason Jackham from Hillside Community Church to give the invocation. Pastor.
I'd like to invite you to bow your heads as we open this night in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much. We come before you with grateful hearts. We're here to honor those that have represented the sports in this city with class and dignity. And I pray a blessing on each of them, Lord. I pray a blessing on each person who gets up and presents tonight. Be with us throughout the remainder of this night, and be with us as we fellowship and have a great time together. In your name I pray. Amen.
At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of the City of Bristol, Mayor Jeff Caggiano.
Good evening, everybody. One of my favorite nights of the year. I usually get a couple of phone calls while I'm up here, so I'm not sure if Stavens or D'Amato has their phone ready, but we did talk to them earlier, and we're taking the over-under on Bunty's speech at 20 minutes. I think the longest thus far. There it is. Gotcha, Chris. I think it's going to be over tonight, but that's all right. All right. In all seriousness, it's a great night. This is a great sports town, and I enjoy this every night to hear the great stories from everybody. So I do look forward to that. Speech is supposed to be 5 minutes. Remember that, Bunty. One quick question, though. How many people here have been to Iron Horse Sports Pub? Raise your hand. We have a great sports pub in Bristol. You might want to visit there. Be patient. They're new. It's in the old Webster Bank, and it's built perfectly for all of you. So we got good stuff coming. I have one last thing. I have a minor complaint here. So we had a picture of Russ Carter up there. Russ Carter was my Little League coach at Edgewood Little League, and I played for the Astros, and this is a story of my life. We were runner-ups. I never won the big dance, but we played for the Astros, so I think in the next picture, Tony, I'm hoping you, or Tom, you can put Russ Carter in the Astros uniform. We wore the old-fashioned one, so by the way, congratulations, there we go. The Carter family back there. Congratulations to all the winners. As I said, this is a fun night. There's close connections all throughout Bristol, and I look forward to all the great speeches tonight. Take care.
Thank you, Mayor. I thought the Iron Horse was in the Bristol Savings Bank, but I guess I'm dating myself. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Vice President of the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame, Bob Callett.
Thank you, Dave. Mark Ziogas, sitting at my table, said I only have 20 minutes, but I promise it won't be over 18. So you don't worry, get comfortable. But I do want to welcome everybody here on behalf of my co-chairman, Hank Lodge. It was a big undertaking this year with 350 people. And I want to congratulate the class of 2024. Well deserved. And I'd also like to congratulate Scott Lodge on the Julie Louise Award. Well deserved. I did stop, when I was in the lobby by the bar, I found out, I guess it's pick on Bunty night, but I did find out that Bunty's staying overnight tonight. And I just want to remind Bunty that checkout time is at 11 o'clock, and I hope your speech is over by then. I do want to thank, earlier this evening, Dave Greenleaf introduced all our past inductees. I think there's over 30 of them here tonight. And the Hall of Fame is a great organization, and I'm very grateful to the support we get from our past inductees. They support us at our scholarship golf tournament, just with their presence here tonight. And also, a lot of them take out ads and contributions in the book. So really, past inductees, I can thank you again for your support. I would like to thank Christine Millay and the entire staff of the DoubleTree. One of the best things we did a few years ago was to go to a buffet, and I think the buffet has worked out great. They have a great staff to work with. I think the food was good, the service is good. And also, I'd like to give special thanks again to the First Bristol Federal Credit Union for their continued support of our Hall of Fame events, including the VIP reception tonight. So thank you, First Bristol Federal Credit Union. I do want to thank all our directors. We have a great group of directors that do a lot of different things. I'm not going to mention all their names, but they all play a little part in all our activities, whether it's for the golf tournament or setting up or whatever. But our directors are a special group and very much appreciated for all you do. Special thanks to my co-chairman, Hank Lodge, and to Sarah Larson, who are mainly responsible for a lot of the video you're going to see shortly on the inductees. They put a lot of work into it. I know sometimes some of the inductees may get a lot of calls, where are my pictures and this and that, but hopefully it pays off, and I wanted to thank Hank and Sarah for all their work regarding that. So thank you guys for that. And as you can imagine, with a crowd this big, taking care of table arrangements and tickets is a big chore. And we have a perfect person for that, and Pat Parenti, our ticket chairperson, does an outstanding job. Thank you, Pat. And, and I also like to thank somebody that I know pretty well. Her name is Patty Callett, who is Pat's assistant and is helpful for quite a few of our events here at the Hall of Fame. Now, just a reminder that, as you can see, Nutmeg TV is filming tonight's event, and it will be shown rebroadcast on a couple stations later on. Now, they don't have the schedule yet. Normally, we have the papers on the table, but the information I have from Nutmeg is that you can download the Nutmeg TV app on your phone or TV app, and then you can watch the full event once it's uploaded in the coming days. So that's the best I can do. It will be shown or repeated a number of times, probably within a week, and then it goes for a number of times. So keep an eye out for that. Inductees, I think you know by now, all the inductees will be receiving a complimentary disc of the event, so you don't have to worry about that. You'll receive that later on from Hank Lodge once we get him back from Nutmeg. And Hank also wanted me to remind all the inductees to pick up your pictures out in the foyer that we're hanging up on the wall, on the ceiling. So finally, if you notice, there's one gentleman that's not here tonight, and that is Tom Monahan. Tom Monahan has introduced our inductees for 26 out of the 27 years that the Hall of Fame has had inductions. The only year he didn't make it was when he retired from Channel 30, and they had a retirement party for him. So Tom has stepped down from those duties, but I think we have a very capable person taking over for him in Dave Greenleaf. But let's give Tom Monahan a round of applause for all his time for the Hall of Fame. And now I think that's my 18 minutes, so I'll turn the program back to Dave, and we're ready to meet the class of 2024. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Bob. And now let's meet the members of the class of 2024. Our first inductee tonight is Cliff Snow. Graduate of St. Paul Catholic High School, where he played football for the school's first undefeated regular season team in 1976. Clifford Snow has enjoyed a long career as a coach and administrator in college football. He was an All-Hartford County Conference defensive back for the Falcons when the team made an appearance in its first ever state championship game in 1976. He went on to play defensive back at Central Connecticut, where he registered 8 career interceptions and 1 fumble recovery. After serving as an assistant football coach at the Gilbert School and then head coach at Windsor High School, he became an assistant coach at UConn, where he briefly served as the interim head coach between Skip Holtz and Randy Edsel. He then moved on to the University of South Carolina as a special assistant to the head coach of football operations. He served as director of football operations at East Carolina, Kentucky, Louisville, and the University of Texas before becoming director of football operations at South Florida. During his career, he has worked with teams in more than a dozen bowl games and won several conference championships. Please welcome Cliff Snow.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be here tonight. Kind of a lifelong accomplishment that I don't know that I was ever prepared for it. But I thank everybody. I thank the committee here with the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame. Special thanks to Tom Mazzarella, who's nominated me. And again, it's truly a great honor. I was a small, skinny kid growing up in the Forestville section of Bristol. And Bristol provided a tremendous opportunity, as many of you know, with all the sports opportunities that they have. I played Little League Baseball for Forestville, midget football. Bob Karen was my Little League, or my midget football coach. Played for St. Paul's. We did a great job as seniors. Have a teammate of mine here from 1976 when we ended up playing in the inaugural state championship game. We did lose to Hand, but we went 10-0 in the regular season. Sports has given so many people opportunities, and it has given me a tremendous opportunity. Doors opened up because of the things that I learned playing sports in Bristol. I went on to Central Connecticut, as they've already indicated, was a co-captain my senior year. We were all non-scholarship players at the time. We played for the love of the game. After Central, one of the assistant coaches there said, you know what, someday you're going to get into coaching. I ended up going to the Gilbert School. So that's an opportunity that opened up that I didn't plan for. I majored in biology at Central. I ended up getting a job with the state of Connecticut as a research assistant. But I ended up coaching at Gilbert part-time. I wanted to get more and more involved in sports, working with young people, helping them out, preparing them better for life. And I ended up going back to Central Connecticut to get my teaching degree. Went on to Windsor High School, 7 years there, 4 as an assistant, 3 as a head coach. Wanted to get even more involved in coaching. Gave up the teaching, ended up at UConn staff, so doors continued to open. When I went and got into the director of football operations positions at 6 different universities, all the highs and lows that sports provide for both the administrator, the coaches, the players, all the opportunities that are presented because of the lessons that the sports teach us. So it was a great ride, starting with Muzzy Field, going to Storrs, Connecticut. I've been to Baton Rouge, been to Notre Dame, been to Legion Field, Tuscaloosa, in the Southeastern Conference, playing at the highest levels. In Texas, playing in the Cotton Bowl. We beat Florida when I was at Louisville in the Sugar Bowl. So it provided opportunities for me, and it was a tremendous ride. I think sports, as all of us are aware, provide lessons and opportunities later on in life. And we never know where those doors are going to open. And for me, I never planned on coaching. I was a biology major. I thought I'd end up in that field. But getting my feet wet in high school coaching, decided to go in a different path. Thought I would be a coach forever. Didn't work out that way when I left UConn, but had an opportunity to be a director of football operations. And so you never know what's going to come down the road, what opportunities you're going to have, but Bristol provided the foundation with all of the opportunities that they provided, and this is 40 years ago. all of the opportunities that they provided for the youth growing up here to better themselves, and then for those people to go on and better the lives of other people. All of the young men that were on the teams, whether it was high school or at UConn or all of the major universities that I was at, teaching them, showing them about work ethic, showing them about commitment, showing them the right way to do things, the right way to handle themselves. All of those things were learned in Bristol. I thank my parents for giving me the opportunities to do those things. I learned to swim at Page Park. I learned to ski at Page Park. So again, just the things that may not have been things that you see, skiing at Page Park, swimming at Page Park, those were things that gave you something to do. And so Bristol has been a huge part of my life, and all of the sports in Bristol as well. Mark Noon, we watched him when I was in high school. We watched him win state championships. My wife and I bought our wedding invitations from Frank Oshenko at Frank's Stationery. I know Frank doesn't remember that, but my wife does. So Bristol was a great place to grow up. It will always be home for me, and I thank everyone in Bristol that has provided opportunities through all the years for providing those things for me to enable me to be the person that I am today. Sports was definitely a key to the success in my life, and I thank you. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Jeff Bashaw. Jeff Bashaw began his athletic career in the Forest of Little League and at Green Hill School, but he is best known as a record-breaking shot putter and discus thrower with the Bristol Central track and field team. He was a four-year all-conference performer for the Rams in track, won all-conference honors in wrestling, and played football for 3 years. He was undefeated for 3 years in the discus and was a three-time All-Stater and twice an All-New England performer. As a junior in 1992, he broke Bill Benefactors' 29-year-old record in the discus and earned the Best in Field award at the Bristol track meet, Greater Bristol track meet. As a senior, he broke his father Don's record in the shot put and established a school record that has remained in the Bashaw family for 58 years. He set the CCC South meet record of 160 feet 11 inches and then set the Bristol Central school record of 161 feet in the discus at the CIAC State Open. He became the first Bristol Central athlete to win 2 events in the CIAC Class MM State Championship meet and went on to earn 2 medals in the New England Championship. He qualified for the Golden West meet in California and won 2 gold medals in Nutmeg State Games. As a wrestler, he compiled a dual meet record of 22-3 and earned all-area honorable mention. After high school, he was a member of the U.S. Air Force team that earned second place in the Air Force Rugby Championship in 1996 and played on the Air Force traveling team as well as in the Manitoba Rugby League. Since returning to Bristol, he has coached for the Bristol Bulldogs football team and in the McCabe Waters Little League. Please welcome Jeff Bashaw.
I'm actually going to read off my sheet. Let's see what we got here. All right, good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here tonight. I'd like to start off with congratulating the inductees of the class of 2024. Their accomplishments over the years and hard work put them in a position to be here tonight. I'd like to thank Hank Lodge and Bob Callett for walking me through the steps for the past 5 months. Also a big thank you to all my coaches and teachers who helped along the way, especially my father, Don. Thanks to my wife, my kids, my mother, my brother and his family for all their support as well. I won't go on and on, but I would like to share a couple stories that got me here tonight and what a proud moment this is. Knowing that my father had the shot put record at Bristol Central High School, I always thought how cool it would be if I was the one to break his record. Entering high school, he bought me my own shot put and discus. We would go up to the high school on weekends. We would practice throwing. He brought up his old camcorder. He would record my throwing sessions, and we'd go home and watch the video where he would give me pointers on my form and how to correct it. After doing this for a couple years and starting to excel at the sport, his record was slowly becoming a possibility. Going into my senior year, I knew it was now or never. Then at the Southington track meet, I finally topped his mark by 1 inch, and it still remains to this day. The relief we both felt was unbelievable. This brings me to my final story. This July, while vacationing in Lake George with my family, I had my mother getting my mail for me while we were gone. The day I get back, I head to her house to pick up the mail, and I see a letter addressed to me from the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame. I opened it up right then, and it was my induction letter for class of 2024. And wouldn't you know it, it was July 11th, and it would have been my father's birthday. If that wasn't a sign from up above, I don't know what was. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight, supporting the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame, and listening to my story. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Bob Fallon.
If you want to hack the sky, you just need to fly high. It will be cold for a while, but at the end of time, I will be on your side. Whoa, please don't go too far. Whoa, please don't go too far. If you want to travel miles, pack your dreams and thrive outside. I will be here for advice while you get into the wild. Whoa, please don't go too.
A Massachusetts native, Bob Fallon came to Bristol to teach math at the Clarity O'Connell School and immediately began his coaching career as coach of the 7th and 8th grade basketball team in 1964. He went on to coach freshman basketball at Bristol Central before embarking on a 23-year stint as the golf coach at Central. He compiled an overall record of 136 wins, 85 losses, and 4 ties, and his teams won 28 straight matches in the Colonial Conference from 1981 to 1983. His 1983 team was 19-0 and the first undefeated team in BCHS history. He was named State Golf Coach of the Year in 1989, the year when he coached Glenn Carlson to the state tournament championship and appearance in the Nationals in Arizona. He became involved in Special Olympics as a track and skiing coach in the late 1980s and served as a certified master-level track official from 1993 to 2001, a stint that included work at the Special Olympic World Games in 1995 and at the National Sports Festival for the Disabled in 1999 and 2000. He has served on the board of the Bristol Civitan Club and the First Bristol Federal Credit Union, has been a question writer for the Academic Bowls, and was coach of the Bristol Central math team for many years. But he is most proud of his time with the Special Olympics and as a board member and treasurer of the Bristol Adult Resource Center, better known as BARC. Please welcome Bob Fallon.
If I had, excuse me, if I had known I was going to be on TV, I would have spent more time getting my makeup done. Thank you. First of all, I need to thank Bernie O'Keefe, a dear friend of mine who put my name up, excuse me, for being a member of the Hall of Fame. Bernie is not with us this evening. He is not doing very well, and I hope that you would all keep in mind in his thoughts and prayers. I would like to congratulate all of the inductees on their job that they have done and the accomplishments that they have done in themselves. And Bunty, I think Jeremy would be very proud of us. What do you think? But most importantly, I have to be grateful for my special love for my family, and my wife Linda and I just celebrated our 62nd wedding anniversary. Our parents said it was never going to work. With me tonight I have my son Scott, my son Sean, and Sean's wife Jerry, and my 2 grandchildren, Will and Grace, and Will's wife Caitlin, and who are the proud parents of my great-grandchildren, Matthew, who's 3.5, and Brooklyn, who's 1 year old. And on top of that, I think one other thing that I must mention, that my grandson, Will graduate from UConn Law School this spring, and my granddaughter, Grace, will graduate in a 5-year architectural program from Penn State University. The American Nobel Prize winner, dramatist Eugene O'Neill, wrote A Long Day's Journey into Night. My sports journey started many, many years ago as a caddy at the Williams College Golf Course in Williamstown, Massachusetts. It was called Taconic. And from there, I needed to go to college and I needed to get money, and that was the only way I could do it. And so I eventually worked up through the ranks, became the #1 caddy and the caddy master. And as the years passed, I went through the service. I spent some more time in college, and I spent some more time in college, and some more time in college. And finally, in the year 1964, in January, on a Friday, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I took my last undergraduate final exam. And on Monday morning, at 8:30 in the morning, I stood in front of a group of 7th graders at the Clara T. O'Connell School in Bristol, Connecticut. Now, you have to remember, 2 months before that, I never heard of Bristol, Connecticut. And secondly, I didn't know how to get there. So as luck would have it, I got into coaching right away, and I had the 7th grade class. You might remember some of these kids that played on this team. These young kids: Bob Freemuth, John Colapetro, Jimmy Ziogas, and some others. These kids are doing pretty well, you know. But then my coaching career started where I really wanted it to go, and that was in high school golf coaching. And so I went to the high school the year after the O'Connell School, and I got the head coaching job and the freshman basketball job. Now, the problem with the head coaching job was Tom Monahan took me aside and he said, "Bob, I can't give it to you." And I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Well, you don't have a big enough car." I said, "I have a Volkswagen." I said, "It's a 2-door Volkswagen with a sunroof and a hot spark ignition. What's wrong with that?" And he said, "Not good enough." So I conned my good friend, Paul Castelline, who had a 2-door Mustang. And I said, "Paul, I'm naming you my assistant coach. You're not going to get paid, but you're going to drive with me to away matches wherever we go." And so there we went. 2 coaches, 2 cars, 5 students, and 7 golf bags, and it was success after that. One other problem came up during my coaching career, and that was in coaching basketball. I had this freshman basketball team in which there were 14 guards and 1 center. And so I had this great program called the Auburn Shuffle. The problem was I could get people to run it, and I had Dave Raponi was running the shuffle, and he was very good at it. He could, whatever it was a very difficult thing to do, but I couldn't get him to pass a geometry test to save my life. And from there, of course, we got into the years where they spoke about the things that happened to me, the accomplishments in golf, the teams that I had, the Special Olympics, and the refereeing and officiating track and field events all over the country. It was a great trip for me. And so I am reminded of my early years when I was at a grammar school in North Adams, Massachusetts. It was called Mark Hopkins. Now, Mark Hopkins was named after a famous educator who was and happened to have been a president of Williams College, where my golfing career started. And on the stone portal in Williams College is a plaque. And on this plaque is one of my favorite quotes. And it's a quote that I've always used because I always thought it was great because first of all, it was very simple, and also that it was very eloquent. And the quote is, "Climb high, climb far. Your aim the sky, your goal the star. And tonight, I think a little stardust has fallen on my shoulders. Thank you."
Our next inductee is Rick Schmaltz. An All-State receiver with the Bristol Eastern Lancers in 1970, Rick Schmaltz began his athletic career in the Forestville Little League, where he played on the 1964 District 5 championship team. He also played for Bristol Midget Football. He was named All-CCIL Football in 1969 and 1970 while playing for the Lancers, and he still holds the record of 8 receptions for 160 yards in the Thanksgiving Day game of 1970. He went on to play football at St. Thomas More School, where he earned all New England prep honors, and then played 4 years with the University of Maryland, graduating in 1977. The Terrapins won 24 straight ACC games and appeared in the Peach, Liberty, Gator, and Cotton Bowls during his playing time. He later played for the New Britain Flag Football Champions and has been an ASA certified umpire for the town of Southington since 1995. Please welcome Rick Schmaltz. Wow, you jumped up there. Good. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's going good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Hall of Fame, fellow athletes, friends, and family. I stand before you tonight deeply honored and incredibly humbled to be inducted into the prestigious Bristol Sports Hall of Fame. I want to begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to the selection committee for this recognition. It is a privilege to be counting so many extraordinary individuals who have paved the way through the world of sports. I was lucky enough to grow up in a neighborhood with guys like Bob Montgomery and Dave Gorsey, who developed my skills at an early age. Then there was Bob McCabe, who got me introduced to organized sports, the Forestville Little League, the midget football. And I have to mention Page Park, the Forestville Boys Club. Great places for Bristol offering for kids. I want to recognize Zip Kaviter, my Stafford school coach, and later recruited me to work as a playground supervisor. Playing football in Maryland for Coach Claiborne was, as he said, hard but fair. Everything was first class, from the facilities, our training table, our chartered flights for every away game, and even our home games. After dinner, we would load up on buses and drive 20 miles up the Beltway to a hotel. We'd have a short meeting and lights out. Coach wanted everyone to stay focused to the task at hand. Now New Britain flag football. What a blast. Playing with the best Bristol has. Mike Morin, Jimmy Moe, Dennis, Dean Barney, Mikey G, Rap, Tig Valentine, Charlie Crows, John Chapulis, Kenny Parrish, Jeff Thomas, Rock Rottler, I haven't seen him forever, Jay DeGata, Billy Sutter, Billy Atkinson, And of course, our coach, Rick Kroos. Great time. Played every Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning. 25 years old, and we're playing 8 o'clock in the morning. And the work at Pop Warner was a privilege for me too. It was to help out my brother and to see my nephews grow and develop. I can see what we did had an effect because they are having a successful program under his presidency. I must also recognize Tim Tebow, who does an outstanding job with young adults with special needs. I also want to mention my buddy Leon, who came up from South Jersey, who was also, he's in New Jersey Coaches Football Hall of Fame. And I'd also like to send my friends and my family out there for coming and supporting me tonight. Thank you.
Yes, that's yours. Our next inductee is Beth Ratko. Beth Ratko taught swimming and coached synchronized swimming to over 250 girls and women a week while serving as the PE director at the Bristol Girls Club from 1965 to 1973. She led her swimmers to both in-state and out-of-state swimming competitions and won numerous medals and titles in solo, duet, and team competitions in the Connecticut AAU Championships and junior age group events. She was a founder of the Bristol Women's Slow Pitch Softball League and played and coached in the league for nearly 20 years, winning numerous championships. She later joined the Pequawba Golf Club and was Ladies Senior Club Champion 9 times. She was also Ladies Club runner-up at Farmington Woods and Simsbury Farms Golf Clubs. She has had 3 holes in one and has twice entered and made the cut at the Connecticut Women's Amateur event. She has been a swimming referee and was softball coach at Tunxus Community College. Please welcome Beth Ratko. Yeah, I think you gotta go on the other side. Yep. Move that chair out of the way. Congratulations.
Oh, shoot. Here we go. Sorry. Thank you, Dave, for such a wonderful introduction. Thank you also to the co-chairs of tonight's ceremony, Bob Callett and Hank Lodge, plus all the directors and members of the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame. I'm honored to be here among the Bristol sports legends, as I did not grow up in town, but have owned 3 homes in the 50 years that I did live here. I've been here 59 years now. This is not my first rodeo. I grew up in Hingham, Massachusetts, and was inducted into their Hall of Fame in 2011. I was fortunate to have gone to Hingham High School, and my freshman year got to play girls varsity sports. This was in 1957. We had field hockey, basketball, softball, and tennis. Bristol started girls' sports in the late 1960s. And I think Joanne Galati, you're here, I think you did all that. But the Bristol Girls Club had various sports years before. A month ago, I was at the second Hall of Fame ceremony in Seymour, Connecticut. My late husband, Russ, was inducted, along with his cousin and his best friend's brother. Tonight is my turn again. How does a young boy or girl get involved in athletics and sports? In my case, my dad was a PE teacher on Long Island. Eventually, he went into sales, and that's why we moved to Hingham. My mother was a librarian and always said she raised 2 boys and a tomboy. Thank you to both of them for their teaching, their lessons, and making my 2 older brothers play with them in ice hockey at the pond nearby, basketball and softball in our yard, etc. I had to groom our horse and muck out the stall, gather the eggs. They taught me how to fish, but I drew the line at trapping and skinning muskrats. I graduated from high school in 1961 and went on to Syracuse University, where I majored in PE and recreation. Just as a sidelight, in football, I got to see Ernie Davis, Floyd Little, Larry Zonka, Gail Sayers when Kansas visited Syracuse. And in basketball, Dave Bing, first person I ever saw dunk a basketball, and his backcourt partner, a walk-on at Syracuse named Jim Boeheim. At Syracuse, they didn't have any sports for girls either, except intramurals. So I did synchronized swimming, gymnastics, and 10-pin bowling. I only did candlepin bowling growing up in Massachusetts. Your fingers go in the ball? I started at the Girls Club in September of 1965 as a PE director and synchronized swimming coach. I adored all the girls and thought of them as daughters. 8 of them are in the audience over here, and that was from 50 years ago. Ann Degnan was on the other end of the pool, and between the 2 of us, we taught over 500 girls a week in swimming. I'm loving thanks also to Skip Henderson, the club director for over 40 years, my ideal role model. Why no one ever thought to name the gym or the pool after her is beyond belief. You all may know I was Karen and Sarah Josephson's first coach. They were the first 2 women inducted into the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame in 1997. They also may have started a trend, as 3 of the older synchronettes each had sets of twins after they were married. Like I said, my past swimmers are in the audience, and 3 of them, their mother came too. And she was one of the mothers that was always behind the girls and supporting them. Thank you, Mrs. Sweeney. Other past inductees I had the opportunity to teach, coach, or as teammates or opponents are Tammy Chapman, Coral Richardson, Debbie James, Joanne Galati, Margie Funk, and Gail Erickson. My regular foursome when I retired my softball glove was Gail Erickson, Elaine Wachtel, and Liz Nato. We golfed all over the state, but not necessarily with each other, and from Quebec all the way down to Florida. Thank you, ladies. I don't know where you are. Oh, there you are. In conclusion, if you have aspiring athletes, tell them to practice like they've never won and to play like they never lost. That's one of my better quotes. My athletic life, I think, is over now due to injuries, and I'll be 81 next month. I just hope and hope that I can breathe and not topple over when putting on my pants. I am Beth Rodko, and I approve this message.
Our next inductee is Russ Carter. For nearly 40 years, Russ Carter was a fixture behind the bench at the Edgewood Little League. He served as a manager or coach from 1966 to 2004, and then coached one more year at the Terryville Little League. His teams won the Edgewood Little League Championship 4 times, and he was manager of the Bristol City Champions in 1986 and 2002. He was the recipient of the Harp Broderick Award for Outstanding Service to the community at the 2007 Bristol Tramps Reunion Dinner. Edgewood Little League's Field 2 is named in his honor. Accepting for his father is Rick Carter.
All right. Oh, okay, here we go. Well, all right, here we go. All right, thank you. My brother Dave and I, as well as our entire family, are honored to accept this award for our father. We'd also like to thank the Bristol Sports Hall of Fame Selection Committee for including our dad in the fellowship. And congratulations from our entire family to tonight's recipients as well. And we'd also like to congratulate the prior recipients who are in the building tonight. Now, before I actually begin, I would like to acknowledge my Aunt Marilyn, who will be 91 tomorrow, as my father's last surviving sibling. So, gotcha. All right, so my name is Rick Carter, and I am going to introduce you to my dad, Russ Carter, by giving his Hall of Fame induction speech. However, due to time constraints, and not wanting to feel the wrath of my friend, Hall of Fame President Jack Krampitz, I have whittled my speech down from 40 minutes to a mere 35. It will only feel like 30 because there will be an intermission. All right, here we go, folks. So the year is 1967. There's a Texan in the White House. America's at war. The Red Sox are playing the Cardinals in the World Series. They lose in 7. And my dad manages first Little League game at Edgewood. Fast forward to 2004. There's another Texan in the White House. America's at war again. Red Sox are playing the Cardinals in the World Series. They win in 4. And my dad manages his last Little League game at Edgewood. You know, they say that the more things change, the more they stay the same. But what didn't change was my father's commitment to the kids of Bristol. No matter their age, no matter their skill set, and no matter their background, He treated everyone equally and fairly. Now, thank you. Now, there are several thousand words I could use to describe my dad. However, due to time constraints and not wanting to feel the wrath of Jack Crampets, I've whittled that list of several thousand words down to 4. And they are dedicated, humble, stubborn, and unselfish. The latter of which I think best describes it. To volunteer his time for 40 years by hitting thousands of ground balls, fly balls, line drives, and pop-ups, throwing thousands of pitches, organizing countless practices and field trips, locating lost uniforms at the season's end, or simply sitting with a player, following a game or a practice, waiting for their ride to arrive is an indication of his unselfishness or he needed a hobby, which is what he often said. Now, my dad loved all sports, but his passion was baseball. It completed him. He loved the strategy, the suspense, the unpredictability, the drama, the stories, and even the trivia. But most of all, teaching it. He loved teaching it. In fact, when he learned that one of his grandkids was left-handed, he quipped, "Great, let's get him pitching now." To which I had to remind him, "Dad, he's 2. Right, fly balls it is. And whether it was coaching 2 teams simultaneously, one in the majors and one in the minors, umpiring, field maintenance, selling raffle tickets, securing cots for the Giamatti Center by traveling all the way to West Point, and yes, actually working in the snack shack, he loved doing it all because it was all for the betterment of the kids, except for the snack shack because he liked the free hot dogs. Now, my father's coaching style was to stress the fundamentals. Always hustle. Tuck your glove in when you sprint on and off the field. Run hard to every base. Catch every ball with 2 hands. And support your teammates, especially when they falter. Especially when they falter. But carry yourself with pride and dignity. But through it all, have fun and play to win. But win with humility. However, when you lose, for the love of God, have the common decency to at least cover the point spread. Thank you. All right. It feels like a home game. Cool. All right. It's been said that actions speak louder than words, and he was loud and clear in that respect. He led by example. He was the first to practices, the first to games, and the first to fall at spring cleanups, and he never made excuses. Those principles, and many others, guided him through his life as a father, a grandfather, a husband, a brother, and a coach. His legacy is etched in the lives he enhanced and the examples he set. And those principles were passed down to my brother and myself. Well, not so much my brother, but I mean, you know. I had to get one in. Come on. These things write themselves. You keep looking at me like that, there's going to be a second one. I can go all night. Good news, there's only 25 minutes to go. And if I'm up here long enough, I'll get to everybody. But we are proud to say that we taught our players with the same positive encouragement as our dad. Now, there are many, many stories I wish I could tell you about my dad tonight. However, due to time constraints and not wanting to feel the wrath of, and everyone, please say it along with me, Jack Crampets. Yes. He feels better. His name has now been mentioned 4 times. I've whittled those stories down to 1. I've done a lot of whittling lately, but I've whittled those stories down to 1 because I think it best exemplifies his coaching style. And it features yours truly. And that ain't my brother. There's a second one. All right, I'm done with you. Got off easy, actually. But all right, so it's 1978. I'm 12 years old. I'm pitching for my dad's team, the Astros. Guida's Dairy, sponsored by. And we're playing the Phillies. It's the end of the season. Playoffs are in the air. We're on Field 1, Breen Field. And it started out great. I kept the Phillies scoreless, and then the first batter came to the plate to start the game. And immediately, the home runs started flying out of here. Kevin Bashand, boom! I didn't know you could hit a ball that far. Kenny Crone, boom! I thought it was illegal to hit a ball that far. Some kid I did not even know, kaboom! These things went so far, archaeologists are still trying to find the balls in the Coppermine Brook. But by the 6th, we had scratched and clawed or made our way back into the game and actually taken the lead by several runs when it started all over again. Bing, bang, boom, balls are flying everywhere. It starts turning into a disaster, but don't worry, we got our FEMA checks the next day. Anyway, the Phillies are now within a run. Tying run is at second, winning run is coming to the plate, there's 2 outs, and all looks lost. And I look over at the third base dugout, and I see my dad embarking on that long, slow, arduous walk to the mound. It looked like something out of the Baton Death March. Yes, I kept that in there. And while I stood there waiting for him, I wondered what words of strength or encouragement would my coach, my father, my hero offer in this dire situation. And when he finally arrived at the mound, he looked me square in the eye and said, "What'd I miss? I was getting a cup of coffee." I sheepishly explained our plight and how our playoff ambitions were now lying in the balance, to which he said, "Is that it? Because the last time I checked, we were still winning, unless you give up another one of those home runs. So I'd suggest you get the last out so we can get out of here and I can get another cup of coffee." And that's exactly what I did, because I knew how much coffee meant to my dad. But that gets to the heart of who he was. Let's not concentrate on what we did, which is the past. Let's concentrate on what it is we're going to do, which is the future. Before I go, I will leave you with this. The last image I have of my dad on the field is after winning the Edgewood Championship in 2003. He could have been celebrating with his players on the field, or he could have been celebrating with the parents, or he could have been resting. And who could blame him? His body was slowly being consumed by Parkinson's, and the cancer would eventually take him from us. But instead, he was out on the field teaching his grandkids the proper way to run the bases. Always the coach. Thank you, and goodbye.
Our next inductee is Taylor Losey.
If you want to hack the sky, you just need to fly high. It will be cold for a while, but at the end of time, I will be on your side. Whoa, please don't go too far. Whoa, please don't go too far. If you want to travel miles, pack your dreams and thrive outside. I will be here for advice while you get into the
A state champion in 2 sports, Taylor Losey starred for Bristol Eastern in volleyball, basketball, and track from 2002 to 2006. She was an all-conference and all-state player in volleyball and a member of the Lancers 2005 state championship team. She scored over 1,400 points in a stellar basketball career, that included 4 all-conference selections as well as all-state honors. She was the CIAC state champion in the javelin in 2006 and became the second Bristol Eastern female athlete to earn all-state honors in 3 different sports. She was a 4-time medalist in the Hershey North American Track and Field softball throw event. She went on to score over 1,200 points at Pace University, where she won first team all-conference and all-metropolitan honors and was the Darrell Halloran Memorial Award winner in 2010. She led the Northeast Conference in free throw percentage in 2008 and 2010. She has been a grad assistant basketball coach at Pace, as well as a coach with the Connecticut Magic AAU program. Please welcome Taylor Losey.
Nice, guys, nice. Good evening, everyone. Sincere thank you to my family and friends who have shown up for me tonight. And thank you very much to the Hall of Fame for this honor of being inducted. This process has been a fun look back on my history as a competitive athlete. And any opportunity for me to reflect is a privilege when you've been as blessed with immense opportunity like I have. I've been blessed with the great people around me. I was gifted with skill and size. Let's not forget that. The height I am right now, I think my dad just told me I was probably peaked at, what, 4th grade? This is what you were looking at. So I was a very big, tall kid. Kind of big and strong, as my dad would say. Quoted in the paper, just in case you go to check. If you walk past my 2nd grade classroom, you'd see standard-sized desks across the board, and then there was just this one desk that they had to haul in from the 5th grade classroom that was tall enough for my legs to fit under. While I played many sports as a kid, it was no secret that basketball was it for me. Growing up in the 90s, during the rise of UConn women's basketball, my sister and I got to go to so many games because our grandparents had season tickets. And playing college basketball was always the goal for me. Playing basketball in Connecticut, and if you're any good, you know, everyone says to you, oh, are you going to go to UConn? You're going to play at UConn, right? And anyone who doesn't have grounding coaches or parents would probably think that that was a possibility, but not me. I had people around me at all times that were keeping me grounded and in reality. Someone who never filled my ideas with that weren't realistic for me was my first coach, Pete, my dad. My dad coached me through Boys and Girls Club travel basketball from 4th grade to 8th grade, and he also kept score for pretty much every single one of my AAU basketball games, which was a lot. He knew I could go somewhere with my skill, and he truly did right by me as a player. He learned the AAU landscape, and he, you know, basically took everything in so he could make sure that we got to the next level because he knew that's what I wanted. Never inflated my ego, and he always kept it very real with me. Sometimes he kept it a little too real. There was one game at North End Rec in Waterbury I'll never forget. It was the first time we were really just getting our butts handed to us. I think I saw my shot get swatted out of the gym for the first time, and I was just, we were not doing well. During a timeout, he's addressing the team, and he very calmly says, you know, sometimes the team is just better. And I looked at him like I was going to kill him. I was so mad. I was like, I didn't want to hear that. Your wisdom is great, Dad, but let's keep it moving. I want to thank you for that and everything you've done for me. The memories we've accumulated over the years traveling for sports were ones that I'll never forget. It was really an advantage to have parents who were so grounded in reality and simply enjoyed the ride that their kid was on. When I got to college, I realized just how lucky I was to have the mom and the dad that I have. My parents would regularly sit down with their book and coordinate just how they were going to make it to all of my games. Both having full-time jobs and, other adult responsibilities, I really appreciated that from both of you. My mom, Donna, started running her own business the same year I left for college. And for those of you that know her or don't know her, she's an absolute force and a beast. My mom has an insane work ethic that's unlike anything I've really ever seen, and I'm just so used to it at this point. She has an internal engine that's just always running. She always has energy to get things done. And while she by no means is a big sports fan, she is a huge fan of mine. In fact, she's most happy that I get up and speak today. She could care less about all the stuff that was on the slide. And my dad always takes credit for my athletic prowess, which, you know, some can't argue with. However, without my mom's example of what proper work ethic looks like, that skill could only go so far. So thank you. I also had the advantage of being the second born with an older sister who was a ruthless competitor, but she was a damn good sport about her sister being taller than her and better than her most of the time. I do still remember the days of her beating me one-on-one in the driveway, but there came that day where the tide turned and I finally beat her, and then we just never looked back. She always supported me, never did anything to harm me in any way. She still takes care of me to this day. I'm forever thankful for that, and also thankful that she's not too far away from me. In fact, I'm thankful that my mom, my dad, and my sister are all right here in Bristol. My husband and I were lucky enough to find a house here back in Bristol in 2020. And living here was always something I wanted, but my husband was a little hesitant. Back when we first met, the fact that I was a college basketball player was one of the things that actually interested him the most. Really made my Match.com profile pop, you know? He's a huge sports fan, so naturally he thought it would be fun for us to play a game of one-on-one for one of our earlier dates. I said, that's so cute. But in my head, I was like, this is a really bad idea, but here we go. After I absolutely scraped the floor with him, I was immediately impressed by how well he handled it, especially because he's a diehard Duke fan, and we know how irrational those Duke fans can be. One of our favorite pastimes now is arguing during all college basketball games on whether or not the officials can dictate the outcome of a game. And I knew I had sealed the deal on Bristol when he made this comment to me a few weeks ago. He says, you know what would be awesome? If Layla grows up and crushes all of your records and gets inducted into the Hall of Fame too. So, hopefully I'll be back up here in 33 years to witness that. Thank you all for listening. It's an honor to be part of this community, and I hope you all have a good night.
Our next inductee is Bunty Ray.
Driving through the road work, oh, the work they took forever on. The road cones blur like memories of the miles we shared between. The place you learned to say your prayers, the place I took to praying. Loading in and breaking down my road dog door deal dreams. Long before we ever met, I made up my direction. Long before I knew the half of half I'm sure of now. Though I'd say it ain't the way that you'd have gone about it. Follow me and lead me on and never let me down. So I'll love you till my lungs give out. I ain't lying. I'm all yours. You're all mine. There ain't two ways around it. There ain't no trying about it. I'm all yours. You're all mine. Ride my rails and find hotels and all that in the middle. Every bite and curtain drawn, I want to taste with you.
A lifelong Bristol player and coach, Bunty Ray played both soccer and baseball at Bristol Eastern between 1990 and 1994. He was all-conference in his senior year on the undefeated 93 soccer team. He led the baseball team in batting with a .417 average as a junior and .357 as a senior. He played 4 years of American Legion baseball and helped the team win a state championship in 1994. He received the Fran Mullins Batting Award with a .424 average and was a two-time Zone 1 All-Star. He went on to play 4 years at Eastern Connecticut State University and was a member of the 1998 National Championship team. He had a career average at Eastern of over 300. He was the 1997 Most Improved Player and was named to the first team All-Regional Tournament team. He played in the Greater Hartford Twilight League from 1996 to 2011. As a player manager of the Bristol Merchants from 2002 to 2011, he had a record of 214 and 84, with 5 regular season championships and 4 playoff titles. He was named an All-Star 8 times, including 1 Golden Glove Award, and was Bo Kolinsky Manager of the Year 3 times. He was given special recognition as Manager of the Decade after his retirement. He hit .495 in 2003 and finished in the top 10 hitting 4 times over his career. He was inducted into the Greater Hartford Twilight League Baseball Hall of Fame in 2023. He has coached soccer and basketball at Bristol Eastern and baseball at Bristol Central since 1999. His coaching highlights include 238 wins in 16 seasons as head baseball coach. He's been a part of 15 CCC South Championships and 1 baseball state final in '06 as either the head or assistant coach in 3 sports. He's the co-owner of the Bristol Sports Armory and has volunteered at numerous organizations for over 30 years while teaching social studies at Bristol Central since 2001. Please welcome Bunty Ray.
I love that everybody's so nervous about how long I'm going to talk.
I'm not.
Oh, it's great. Congratulations to all the inductees. Your speeches were phenomenal. Your stories are great. That's why we're here, to listen to stories. Thanks to the committee, especially Bob Cowett, Dave Greenleaf, Hank Lodge, Sarah Larson, Pat Perenni for working with me. Sometimes I can be difficult, I know, but they were great. Very appropriate that I got this news that I was inducted from Chris D'Amato, who's the liaison. Often gives me a lot of advice. Chris D'Amato is a lifelong friend, teammate. Now I'm with Bob McMahon and him. We own the Bristol Sports Armory. A lot of respect for Chris and what he's done. Our paths have crossed a lot over the years, and hearing that news from him was special. Thank you. I don't have a lot to read. I just got a few note cards on a thing. The only book club I'm in is at Sporty's, and there happens to be no books. Kenny and Philly keep forgetting the books, but so that's a good thing. Thinking of this speech, Bob Cowett told me I had 5 minutes, and I'm not sure I'm going to hit that 5. I'm trying. Have a beer and a gummy. I'll tell you what's intermission. If you need a gummy, that side of the room, I'm sure you'll be all right and you'll find one. Bob Freeman told me, no one cares. Go fast. Get out of there. He said, just go. I know the Sheridan Woods shuttle bus is probably in the back. If you miss it, Bob, I'll give you a ride home. All right, I'll try as hard as I can. All right? I'm going to show you how hard this speech is, right, for me. And I want you to indulge me on this. If you played for me, stand up. Stay standing. If you were one of my teammates, stand up. Stay standing till it's over. If I worked with you, or you somehow coached me or mentored me, stand up. If you were one of my assistant coaches, stand up. If I coached your kids, stand up. If you're just a friend that just showed up for a meal, stand up. There's your thank you. Let's go. I do got to get through a few of these thank yous, and I got to get a little more in depth. And I'm trying to move fast. My brother's got the clock. You guys put a lot of pressure on me. You guys went fast. All right. So the why is you get nominated, right? So I got nominated a long time ago by a trusted friend of this committee, Brian Farrell, and 81 Indiana. Those of you who know Mr. Farrell, special guy. I'm more honored that his sons are here. Sean, Paul, JoJo, Mike, Brian Jr. I know what he's doing right now. He's up there, Ace 2, glass of red, saying, "Good for you, Sumit." And then he's ready to throw me out right after. But what a great guy. And I appreciate your friendship and, you know, his nomination. He always said everybody I nominate gets in. So this is for him as well. I want to thank my parents. All right. You don't stand up here without great parents. First generation immigrants. When they came here, all they did was work hard. They showed me a lot of things. How to make sure that you do the right thing, make sure that you grind, make sure that you're a good person. My dad is not here with us anymore. I think about him all the time, but my mother is. I'm so happy that you do all the things that you do. I love you, Mom. Along with my extended family, Kathy and Brian Brady, Shane and Sean Zomack, Adam, Jack, and Eileen is here also from Long Island. Family is important. You showed up for me, I show up for you. We all know how important family is, all right? Well, you all have to have a role model. You all have to have something or someone to look to. You have to have that person that, you know, that person that you have to chase in order to be successful. For me, my hero was right down the hall from me, was my brother Jay. My brother Jay, you know, we always talk about the grind. 5 years older than me, took me everywhere he could. I was bat boys, probably listened to things I wasn't supposed to, showed me a lot. He was a great leader. Not only was he a great leader, he was a captain on a football team that wins a state championship. He was a great student. And even looking further on, he's an amazing, amazing family man, great businessman. He gives a lot to this community, asks for nothing. He asks for nothing. And all the titles I have, and I have a lot, the one I like the most, Jay Ray's little brother. You're my dude. Love you. He's here with my sister-in-law, Laura, Kobe, Cassie, Kylie. All success. They wear that last name, Ray, really well. Proud of all those guys. Jackson Ray and Sydney Ray. Imagine being my kid in this town. Oh, boy. I'm always giving them advice. I'm going to give you some more. And you're great kids. Do me a favor. Challenge yourself. Grind. Don't be afraid. Use failure as fuel. Never stop. Don't ever let anybody tell you you can't. All right? And surround yourself with people like this. And if you do that, you're going to be ultra successful. Because even on your lowest day, this is what you have. I'm so proud to have all these people here, all those people that stood up. They're here for our family, and you need to have those type of people in your life. And the second piece of advice that I'm going to give you is the most important. If you choose, and you will, to have somebody to go through life with, choose someone like your mother. And don't do anything less. If somebody asks me all the time, how could you do what you can do? I have a lot of things that I do on a daily basis, a lot of hats that I wear. The simple answer is Megan Ray. Megan Ray is the reason why I can do everything. I start every day with a kiss from my wife, and I'm ready to go meet any challenge that's there. And I know when I come home, there she is. It's a great thing to have. It's a great thing to have always. Last 25 years, hopefully, as long as God and health allow me to keep going. You're the thing I love the most in this world. Thank you. Thank you to all my coaches. You put me on a path to teach. You put me on a path to coach. You put me on a path to help. And the reason why I chose the career I did is because those guys, all Hall of Famers, unbelievable people. All right? Mike Green, Bill Sweet, Spec Monaco, Jim Ziogas, Mike Giovinazzo, Bill Holowati, Ron Jones, Scott Smith. I had a lot of other youth coaches. Those were my high school coaches. You know, there's a lot of Lancers over there. If you ever know what Mike Green does and the commitment he puts to his team, he's loyal. We needed a coach to come back. Thank God he did. He'll do anything for you. And there's a table full of guys that know, whenever you can't do something, there's that little voice on your shoulder pulling you through. I love it. Bill Sweet, I played for him. I've known him for a long time. For the last 26 seasons, it's been a privilege. His wisdom, his longevity, It's amazing what he's done for this town. And I enjoy falls with him. Let's do 26 more, right, Coach? Spec Monaco, you know, here's another coach, his knowledge. What I like about Spec the most is when you call him, there's always a way he grounds you, because he's the best historian I know. He'll bring up Bates, he'll bring up Papazian, he'll bring up Monahan. Don't ever forget those names. They're very important to this town. And then he'll talk about great players from all decades. And that's what you need in this town. You need somebody like Coach Monaco to remind you of where we came from. Thank you. Coach Zai, playing for you. I try to find words. He's a stud, man. Coach Zai is a stud. He commands respect. Not only does he command respect, he shows it. And the things I've learned from you, not just on the field, but off, immeasurable. Thank you for what you do for my family, even continue to this day. And the guy I've been with the longest, Coach Giovinazzo. Well, I've been his bat boy. I've coached with him, coached against him. I've played baseball with him. And he's opened doors for me that I never thought would be possible. Coach G, if you want to know what his legacy is, you know, most of the head coaches in this town played for him. Steve Gaudette, Tim Barrett, Nate Jandro, Ryan Raponi. I'm going to be honest with you, they're all great coaches. I know because they kicked my butt a lot. I'm happy that I'm happy that my kids are going to play for Coach Gaudette and Coach Barrett, because I know where they came from. They came from the teachings of Coach G. Thanks for that. Bill Holowati, one of the best coaches in the country, not just because of national championships, because what he produces. You know, I'm glad he's there. He made a long trip down here, and Coach Holowati, if you want to play at Eastern Connecticut, you better be tough. And if you're not, you better learn. I learned real quick what struggle was. And there's a quote that I have, the struggle to reach the top is enough to fill the heart. And I learned that from Coach Holowati. He doesn't make it easy, and nothing should be. And if you get to where you're supposed to, you're going to have to hit some bumps in the road. But at the end of it, there's a prize. And the prize is what all this is. And Coach Holowati, thank you for what you do. Quick thank you to the Bristol Cassins. A lot of those players are here in the back. I sat on the buckets, BP a lot with those guys. Coach Zai, G, Dave Raponi, Barb Beardsley. And I got to be honest with you, I listened to the past. And I said, man, I would like to do that. So the only way to do it is to be a player manager. And if it wasn't for Adam Peters, I would never be even in the Twilight League. Some of the best years in my life, playing with one of my good friends. Adam Peters had me going in the Twilight. I said, hey, P, I think we got to get closer to home. Ed Smith had a team. We went back. And a lot of the merchants are here today. If you want to know where they are, just look for the empties at their table. You'll find them. You'll find them for sure. Adam Peters doesn't take enough credit, and he should get a lot of credit for what the merchants is. He's the heart of that team. He was the heart of that team. Cooler was always full, too. That was always a plus. But he's in the Twilight League Hall of Fame, and it's rightfully so. All the players that are here, I don't want to slight anybody. I got to keep it moving. I'm sure we're going to tell a ton of stories down there, but I appreciate what you guys did. Hey, Rap, that's how you thank your team, right there. Page 9. Started my coaching career at Bristol Central under Coach Tom Moylan. Brother, I have more respect. Talk about opening doors. You allowed me to be a part of Bristol Central and the program. And you are Bristol Central's program in my eyes. All your players are sitting up here. I share some with you, some that I have when I moved on. But there's a lot of respect that I have for you. Our coaching styles are a little different here, you know what I mean? A little different. But you're a gentleman. I don't know if anybody ever called me a gentleman, but you are a gentleman. Along with Marty Solis, humbled me. Still trying, Marty. But I'm going to be honest with you. Coach Solis, all the time he spent with me, kind of telling me how things worked as a 22-year-old kid. And here I am now with a lot of great players. Thank you for that. All right. We had that great run. Steve Gaudette, one of the best pitching coaches I've seen, and Bobby Lincoln. Bobby Lincoln is what we call old school. Old school is now a swear. But I will take Bobby Lincoln anytime. Anytime you want to come back, Bob, I'll take you. I love having you around. A lot of those players are around here today, and they can thank all those coaches for that run and what we did. We've had a lot of good runs along the way. I wanted to thank all my assistant coaches. You're talking 3 sports, 71 seasons. That's a lot. I can't name you all by name, but you know how much you've done for our athletes and what you've done for everybody, and for me especially. All right. What an impressive group of people. Thank you for what you did. There's some people behind the scenes that I want to thank. I'm at Eastern and Central. It's unique to say the least. John Stavens, Jack Krampitz, Mike Higgins, Mike Latender, always showing up. And can I get a round of applause for Jim Tetro, please? All I can say about T is an exceptional human. Talk about, we're always fair in this town, so you talk about Eastern, you gotta talk about Central. So, Dennis Sigmund, thank you for hiring me. Pete Wininger, thank you for putting up with me. And it's a great place to work. Under those principles, great leadership, I appreciate it. Dave Greenleaf, round of applause for him. Dave, he's been amazing, and the place would fall down without you. Bob DeSantis, when you first walked in, I was an Eastern guy, so I walk in, there's Bobby D. Go into Bobby D's office, you get an education. You better have thick skin. You see Phil Pira, Tony Carrier, Pat Perrin, you're in there, and you're like, whoa. Me and Arch were the young guys in there, and I'll tell you what, all jokes aside, he really taught me what Bristol Central was about, and he really is just a great friend, and he's always there. My co-workers are here. They're great. Thanks. You're a special group of people. There's one I want to point out, Ginny Tereso. When I first started teaching, I've been there the longest with her. I played with Todd Ziogas, and I know Craig very well. The family, all the Ziogases, what a great family, all the uncles, good friends. I'm going to use a quote my wife always says when describing someone. Ginny doesn't add, she multiplies. She's a standard of what that school is. Thank you for all the advice that you've given me over the years. And believe it or not, last card, last but not least, and the reason why I'm sitting here, my teammates and my players, all of you, I'm accepting this on your backs. You guys you've done the work. You've given me purpose. You've given me stories, memories, a great life. We came here a couple years ago for Todd and Coach Sweet's induction. And we said, let's come back whenever our guys get in. And we're one short, Bruce Perini. And I think about Bruce, he's not here, but the rest of those guys that were there that night are. And it's a lesson, and it's a lesson. And the lesson that is memories and your time and everything. We never know what's going to happen, so make the most of it. Make the most of your time. The best part of this night is going to happen in a few minutes. We're going to go down there, we're going to tell stories. And the stories that we tell, those are who we are. And don't ever forget them. Don't ever forget them. Don't ever stop telling them. Understand them. And in closing, all I can tell you is one thing. I love you. And you want to know something? That's how I'll end it. Thanks. Good luck.
All right, thank you. We still got a couple more things and we'll be done. So, before we leave, we would like to unveil the sign for the class of 2024 that will hang here next year. Mark. We invite you all to join us. Join us next year on the Friday before Thanksgiving here for the induction onto class of 2025. Thank you all, and good evening.
This is Bristol Health Cares. Special thanks to Nutmeg TV. It's a nonprofit organization. An organization that's going through some difficult times right now and needs your support. Many of you out there have cut the cable, as I have cut the cable, And a lot of the funding that took place for nonprofit stations like Nutmeg TV throughout the state of Connecticut, as people transition from cable TV to the other methods of getting their content, the funding has gone down and down and down. And so programs like this, like you're seeing today, and the programs that you watch on Nutmeg TV, may not be there in the future if we don't all rally behind them and help them with our support to the extent that we can. So have a wonderful day, and until the next time, this is Kurt Barwis, President and CEO of Bristol Health, signing off.